dude is cooked right now.
Can't hear him.
I muted my mic.
Can't hear him. Can't hear him.
He's so cooked.
That's what you get for making fun of Sam for the first 10 minutes before we go on.
I can't help it. He makes
it
such an easy target. Welcome to the DLLS Stars podcast on Wednesday, January 28th. I screwed that up because Ryan and I planned that little drop of Sean, and usually I unmute myself to welcome everybody during the music when we do StreamYard broadcasts. And then I clicked it, but because we switched to us, Ryan did it for all of us, and so I muted myself. Anyway, we have Craig Ludwig, Sam Nessler, a.k.a. Hotspot Sam. We have Sean Shapiro, who we'll get to in a second, and I'm Owen Newkirk. Of course, Ryan Vodder's our producer. Before we get into all the raging that is Sean Columbus Cannon Shapiro today, let's talk about I don't have it on. I'm wearing the DLS camo. You know, you can't even see it here. Let's talk about the Finnish Mafia hoodie, though, because that's the newest one offered on DLLS. AllDLS.com is our website. It is a wonderful hoodie. It's comfortable. It's super soft. It looks great. It supports our show. I don't think you need any other reasons than that. Sam wore it on the show last night. He looked extremely cozy, even if the quality of the picture wasn't very good.
Hey, it was
so
good.
Go check it out today. And if you're a diehard, you get 20% off. All right, guys. I think we need to start today's show with a full version of Sean. So
A full version.
let's take it away.
Maybe Matt Duchene just should be in the bottom of the lineup. Can we just
Third line.
I don't care. Like where we keep talking about get Matt Duchene going, get him fixed. The dude is cooked right now. Just the way he's playing. I'm not trying to be rude, but it is. He's cooked right now. He is not doing anything. You're going out of your way to fix everything for Matt Duchene. At the end of the day, it's bringing everything else down. When you spend all of your energy to try to fix Matt Duchene, you're not worrying about the other 12 forwards on this team. So play him 9 minutes. Put him on the fourth line. Hey, score your way back up. Prove we have to get – but, like, right now, just everything goes – like, I've gotten to the spot of – you know what? He scored against St. Louis in that Saturday game. Let me – the exact minute total was he played – it was his third least minutes in a game this season, 12:59. Okay.
And it was a power play.
It was a power play. You're right. So, like, just at the end of the day, like, is the forest for the trees here on this something? Are we going to spend all of the time in the world to worry, how do we fix Matt Duchene? How do we fix Matt Duchene? You got to fix the Dallas Stars. That's what you have to fix.
Oh, bravo. Okay. Yes.
There we
well
go.
done. So not only did Sean get so fired up that he started half speaking metaphors, which was very fun. The forest for the trees or something was my personal favorite. But Matt Duchene went out and scored 2 goals against the St. Louis Blues last night. He now has 3 goals in his last 2 games, albeit all against the Blues. And yes, our chat in the post-game show last night, Sean wasn't on, but then again already today, are taking Sean rant requests to try to get somebody else going. So, Sean, what say you, and who is your next target?
Hey, Sean, but here's the good news.
Yeah.
I think they play St. Louis in about 3 or 4 more games again.
Use it again.
Perfect timing.
I would also like to point something else at that chat is, so he scored in the goal with 12:59. It was his third least. The prior one that we showed was he scored at 12:59. Last night he scored his 5th. He played his 5th least amount of minutes last night at 13:32. So I would like to point out when it comes to minute usage and how this is all played out, everything we talked about has not changed. He has scored. His goals have all been in games he's played less than 14 minutes. But if people if somehow I have the power to inspire people to play better hockey, that is something I'm thrilled about, but I doubt it lasts because otherwise I would not be on this show and I would be doing much more powerful things and someone else would have given me a call at some point. So Happy for Matt Duchene. Happy he scored a couple goals. Happy the Stars did this. Happy everyone had some fun with this. But I cannot promise that is there's actual correlation there for everyone who may be disappointed with that at this moment.
And maybe for the first time, coaches around the NHL are clamoring to pick up a call from Sean Shapiro now.
So Sean, are we saying that it was more of your rant than his 2 maintenance days that he took off?
Maybe. Or maybe
he have a weekly call with you.
He was watching our show during his maintenance days.
There you go.
That's what maintenance actually means now. If someone doesn't have if anyone's on a maintenance day right now, that means they're spending their day watching DLLS episodes. That is clearly the case
Sean,
now. So,
Sean, can you do me a favor? Can you go on a 1-minute rant about my internet?
there are some, Sam. There are some
Please.
that aren't worth solving right now. And right now, I'm just gonna knock on wood right now because mine has somehow been working, and I feel like as long as yours has been struggling, mine has been cooking along. So, and I think he's frozen right now. I think he froze mid comment about that. So
he is frozen.
Yes.
Oh, Sean.
No, he's not. I see his eyes
Sam.
moving.
Yeah, he's sort of moving.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Sam, blink twice if you need to be rescued. All right. So let's talk about Duchene for a second with Sean, since we have Sean on. Let's start with Luds. Are you feeling that the good vibes are starting to build a little bit because he's done it in 2 games in a row, and he did it without having to play on the top line with Mikko Rantanen?
Well, I don't know if it's about the good vibes. I think that what Matt has done is he shot the puck twice. I mean, I don't compare him to Mikko exactly, but he's a distributor more than he is a shooter. And you look at the one that he got from Wyatt, gets it off his stick, throws it to the net. That was a no-brainer. And the one that he got on the backhand that went off of somebody in front, unfortunately for Jamie Benn, it wasn't him, but he's directing pucks to the net. So we can give credit to Sean, or we can give credit to the maintenance days. But I think if Matt, to me right now, when Matt's going home after those games, he's probably thinking, I just got to get more pucks to the net. And maybe I don't have to be as selfish from the standpoint of trying to find other people to get pucks to, because, this is feeling pretty good. I throw pucks to the net and somehow they find their way in.
I feel like this is a start. And obviously we're not going to, as much as we celebrate Sean's prognostication or his ability to alter time and space, I don't want to say that he's just fixed because it's only been 2 games. However, goal scorers can be streaky. We know that from all eternity of the NHL. But, for example, Jason Robertson, very streaky, especially, and with Matt Duchene, he needs positive affirmations. He needs those good feels, that confidence to play at his best. And I'm wondering if you guys, aside from the goals, right? Because we always see the results, but did you see anything in the last 2 games that started to suggest that he didn't? Because Luds was critical of Duchene's skating coming off the injury, saying he looked a little slow. He wasn't getting to his areas as much. I know we talk a lot about Jamie Benn struggling to get to those spots now versus earlier in his career. Are we starting to see Duchene play with a little bit more pep in his step?
I'm not. Do you want me to actually take that? Because I'm going. Did you see him coming back through the neutral zone a couple times last night? And if you want to put Jamie Benn and Matt Duchene on the goal line and have him race to center ice, Jamie might blow him away. So
really,
but Matt, to me, Matt has never been a speedy skater. He's quick. He quick left, right. He's an east-west kind of guy. It's his quickness that gets him into good areas on the ice. It's his quickness that opens other people up, and how he can divert from sticks from opponents. So I don't look at Matt. When you watch Matt skate in a straight line, trying to back check sometimes, it's not pretty. But I don't think he's ever been a great skater. I mean, and that's coming from someone. That's coming from me. So I'm just saying that I don't look at Matt Duchene being obviously not close to a Rupe Hintz. Is he closer? I think Robo would blow him away, to be honest with you. But again, it's not about going in straight lines for me.
Yeah.
All right.
The more important part I'll say is decision making for Duchene. He's never going to be, as Lud said, he's never going to be the guy with the speed. It was what we talked about last night, where he makes the right decision at the right time because he's not overthinking it. That's where the confidence really shows with Matt Duchene. The throwing it to the net because he's not overthinking. Do I need to circle back? Do I need to do something extra? It's his little decisions in tight spaces that makes him so good. The little passes he used to make to Sagan and Marchment, that's where you see him going up. And I do see that getting better. But as we said, it's not fixed because guess what? The only 5-on-5 goal he scored, he threw off of someone's skate in front. The other 2 were power play goals off of perfect setups from teammates. So there's still room to grow, but I don't think if we're looking for him overall speed, it's not going to be that. It's going to be his positioning, specifically in the offensive end, and it's going to be his quick decision making, I think, with the puck.
It's the it's very much the microcosm of what Luds talked about on Monday with the entire team, where you got to win the games in front of you as the team has, and you're playing teams that. So not everything is fixed. Should we use the weather versus climate analogy or on Monday? And I think it's 2 goals in a 40-second span doesn't change everything. Now it's certainly something to build on, and you celebrate positives, but at the end of the day, that's what it has to be. It has to be a building block. And so let's see, is it a 40-second outlier? Because it could be, or is it something where you go into the game Thursday night and you're looking more confident and you're actually playing with confidence throughout the game for the full 14 to 15 minutes he might get. That to me is the thing. Like, I don't think you can take that answer from just that game. It's a great building block. You need goals to win hockey games. No disrespect to that at all, but I need to see it needs to be more than that for me of finishing off a beautiful feed from Mikko Rantanen and throwing a puck to the dirty areas before it goes into something. Hey, all of a sudden these things are fixed. It's a building block. Next step forward. Let's see where it goes. That's where I'm at right now in it. So
well, and let's build that to the bigger theme of today's show, which is, did the sun come out, or is this just a pause in the rain? And what do I mean by that? Well, Sean made the weather versus climate analogy. The Dallas Stars have won 3 of their last 4 games. They had 2 wins in their previous 12, going back to late December. 2 of those 3 wins in this 3 out of the last 4 are against the St. Louis Blues that required a goal within the last minute or 67 seconds to beat them in regulation. And we thank them so much for that, because we're in the grind right now. We don't need extra overtime games. There are enough of those going around the NHL. And that's another topic of, are the Minnesota Wild actually good if they only have 19 regulation wins but have a ton in overtime? Then we go to this, back to this analogy is, you dominated the Bruins. They didn't have a great game, but they've been playing well. They've actually looked pretty good against Vegas the next game after that. Then you beat St. Louis twice, and you lose in Columbus in a game where you played pretty well but didn't score any goals. Are the Stars, Luds, I'll start with you, out of this slump? Are they starting to get out of the slump, or is this just, hey, it stopped raining for a little while?
Yeah, for me, you're going to have to prove more. You know, again, the opponent has a lot to do with it. And you played St. Louis a couple times, and look at where St. Louis is, and you talk about Boston and where they were. But so I just think that we need to see more, or at least I need to see more of a steady diet. I mean, look at the end of the game. You know, so those pockets are still there. You know, we broke down a couple of the coverage things, and the coverage things are going on in the game. You know, I was thinking this morning, the one guy that we haven't talked about, and we probably should, is Jake. I mean, Jake, I know there's still, you know, and Sean would probably say, yeah, it seems like there's a goal a game that might, to Jake's standard, probably shouldn't go in the net, but Jake has had to make some pretty good saves. And so he's been pretty good. So, I mean, I just, for me, I look at who you played, and you win the games you're supposed to win. And they found a way, fortunately, against a team that is definitely not going to be in the playoffs and probably going to be selling off half their team. You found a way to beat that team twice in the last minute of each game. So that team is finding ways to lose. That's the way I look at St. Louis Blues right now. So, but it's better than the alternative. There's things there to build on. And when I just want to go back to what Sean, you guys were talking about with Matt, don't be surprised if you're going to see Gully throw Matt up there with those guys more often in game, because once he gets a player going, I believe he's going to want to keep him going. I think that's the right thing to do. And I think Matt struggled to get himself going. So I think Gully's going to be the first guy that's going to say, you know, it may be the second or third shifts of the game, but I'm tossing him up there with whoever. So I hope he does that.
All right, we're going to take a quick pause here for our first ad break. And when we return, more about that And will Sean rant about another player? We'll find out here on the DLS Stars podcast. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss out on any of the excitement throughout the seasons, whether it's the rest of the NFL season, the Super Bowl, the NHL pushing towards the Stanley Cup playoffs in the spring, the NBA, EPL, you name it. On Prize Picks, it's good to be right. It's really easy to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stats, and if you get them right, you can cash in. One thing I really love is the stacks that are offered on the Prize Picks app. It's the only place that does that, where you can pick the same player up to 3 times in your same lineup. So if you love Drake May as much as I do, and you should, you could pick 3 different statistical categories for the same lineup for Drake May. Or you could even pick somebody on Prize Picks already, another player that you like, copy their lineup in one click. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code DLLS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code DLLS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. I'm not 23 anymore. In fact, most people aren't. You get older. You get a little bit more gray. Maybe the energy in your workouts isn't quite the same. Those diets that you've had, or the way you like to eat, maybe your workouts just aren't cutting it anymore as you start to age. Because here's the thing, most men start losing testosterone at age 30. I know that I'm older than that. And about 1% a year after that. Well, here's the thing about Mars Men. Well, something you've learned. Your body makes testosterone, but a lot of it gets locked up and can't be used. There's this protein called SHBG that basically handcuffs your testosterone. Mars Men is designed to help free lock testosterone from so your body can actually use it. No synthetics, no needles, just real ingredients that help optimize energy, focus, and strength. For a limited time, our listeners get 50% off for life, plus free shipping and 3 free gifts at mengotomars.com. It's a perfect way to kick off the new year strong. That's mengotomars.com for 50% off and 3 free gifts at checkout. All right, guys, we already have people requesting a Sean rant about Thomas Harley, including suggestions of if you do a super chat, Sean will do it.
Done.
Let's talk about Thomas Harley. I'm not saying I'm promising a rant, but he did score a pretty important goal last night. And shockingly, it's just his 3rd goal of the season. We've talked a lot about him this year, both with the early season injury, which I think certainly affected his play, and that he has not looked like the dominant offensive Thomas Harley that we have come to expect, especially last year, the coming out party in the Four Nations, and then with Miro hurt, really carrying a lot of weight on the blue line offensively last year. What's going on with Thomas Harley? What are your thoughts about where he's at, what he needs to get to?
I don't know.
Is this a point at me? Is this what? Because I also, for me, the Thomas Harley discussion is rooted in 2 things. One, there is internal and external expectation that he set, and you earn reputation, and that reputation is one of the reasons he made Hockey Canada. For the Olympics this year, right? Mike, if you were going purely off gameplay this season, he's probably not on Hockey Canada. The same reason he's there is the same reason Jason Robertson is not on Team USA. Reputations get set, and you have to get them. And so I think for Thomas, one of the biggest deals is all of this stuff, and money and contracts come into play, and the narratives around this of if you want to earn that type of money, and you want to earn the attention that comes with it, you gotta perform like it as well. And if Thomas Harley was making less money and hadn't had if no one ever uttered the words, hey, the Stars have 2 number one, I think one of the worst things that ever happened to Thomas Harley's season this year from a objective standpoint is everyone was so quick to rush and say, oh man, the Stars have someone just like Miro. Thomas Harley is not like Miro. I think that was one of the biggest kind of, he had a good Hockey Canada showing at Four Nations. He stepped up, and I was even one of the people who said it. I thought he was playing at the time last year like a top 15 D in the NHL. and everyone was so quick to say, you know what, he's just like Miro, he's right in that class. He's probably not. Like, let's call it. He's right below. Miro is. We were undervaluing Miro, I think, in one extent, and overvaluing Thomas at the same time. And I think that's part of it. What happened, and then on top of that, when it comes to just a bit of a player expectation, everything, and Luds knows this. You played with a lot of guys. There's some guys who all of a sudden, when the other team walks into the room and they circle 55 on the board, some guys thrive when their name gets circled and they become the center of attention. Some guys struggle. And when I look at Thomas, I think there's been a lot of that curve and that breaking through of, you're no longer the unknown young second gun, whatever you want to call right now. Teams are just going to say, hey, we have to plan for Thomas Harley. And I don't think Thomas has dealt with that nearly as well as some of those other elite players have.
I have a few things. What Sean just said is one of the big points I was thinking of. I think, and since we're talking about Harley, I figured it was a good day to wear the DiGiorno sweatshirt. But
hey, now
I think the big conversation was comparing him to Miro, as Sean just said. And Harley's never Miro. Harley's not the top 15, as Sean said, in defensive game. He was playing like a top 15 because his offense was so elite. He had the goal scoring. He had the game winners like crazy, but he was also good enough defensively. Last year, he had a ton of good plays with his stick. His reach looked better. He was reading plays. He still had his mistakes. He's not the best defenseman in the world, but he was adequate here and excellent here. The problem I'm seeing this year is that both have fallen, right? It's not just that his offense isn't there. His defense looks worse too. He's making the wrong reads. He's making the wrong plays. He's going into the wrong areas. All of a sudden, getting more lost, even though they're not in the same kind of spinning cycle defensively. They're supposed to be sitting back a little more, and he's still finding himself way out of position along with many others. The other thing, though, for that is that his offense has declined because he's not as aggressive. And I think for me, and this is going to sound so silly because I know last year I was all over the Harley power play train. I think as much as he may not thrive being the number one guy, has to be everything, I think he thrives as the power play quarterback. I really do. If you look at the correlation of his game when he's the number one power play guy getting rolled out there for a minute 20 with the big guns, he's a totally different player offensively. And I think that, I'm not saying they have to do that because their power play has been incredible. Don't change it with Miro Heiskanen. Harley just now has to find a way to find that offensive confidence while not being the number one selection on that power play. And I think that's a big part for him to try to find, because they need him to be both of those things. They need him to be adequate as their number 3 defenseman, but they desperately need him to be offensive, because if you look at the lineup, Miro's having a better than normal year. Miro's not probably going to reach that whatever points he got a few years ago in his career high. So Harley has to be that. Otherwise, there's no offense from the blue line. And you're seeing that with this limited scoring 5-on-5 right now.
Bing bang.
Not to cut the point short, because it's a really interesting topic of conversation, but we do have a rather large super chat. We have a Harley from Sports Guy TO. 3 things. 1, has Sean received his Finnish Mafia hoodie? Sean?
The answer is I have not yet. I'm also looking out my window right now, and everything is still covered in snow, and my road has been covered in snow for a week because they haven't decided to plow my road yet. So I don't know how quickly things are getting to me either way. So to take a little bit of heat, because I think I see the bottom of this chat as GM.
Hold on.
To
Number 2, did Sean and Luds receive their Finnish Mafia t-shirts from the night I donated on the fundraising show? Luds and Sean, have you received your Finnish Mafia t-shirts?
I have a hoodie.
Nope. So no on the t-shirt. Okay. And then 3, does
Yeah.
Harley benefit from a better partner? And then GM Ben needs to remedy 1 and 2. If not, see you all Saturday. Thank you, T.O. It's a great super chat. So let's talk about Harley benefiting from a better player. Is that something that he needs to have next to him, or is he already, and that's to Sam's point, is he being asked to carry a lot? I know he got a big contract, but he has had sort of a revolving door of partners back there.
Yeah, but if you're gonna make Hockey Canada, if you're gonna be one of the top 8, if you're gonna be considered one of the top 8 Canadian defensemen in the NHL, you should be able to carry your own pair.
Yep.
Like that's and now
He's starting to rant. Let's go.
I'm not trying to get started on this. It's just the reality for me of like, if you're gonna go and say, hey, this is a guy that should be in that conversation. He should be in a Norris conversation. He should be in the top 15 conversation. He should be able to do that. He's someone who, the right partner should be able to enhance his game and help him on the marginally get better here and there, but he should be able to carry his own pair. And that's kind of goes back to one of those greater conversations about where is Thomas Harley? Was he a 1 year flash in the pan? And I'm being facetious on purpose here. Was he a 1 year flash in the pan, overtime hero, offensive player last year that is going to live off that reputation forever? Or is there more substance to this that he's going to kind of build and attach to all of it? I really hope it's the latter. I hope there's more substance to this. I hope there's more of a build to this and everything like that. But right now you shouldn't, if I go back to like the top player thing. And we it was all about, for a long time, it was with a Miro, righty, lefty. And like, Miro's a top 5 defenseman in the world for me, whether he's on his right or his left. If he's playing with the stick upside down, he's a top 20 defenseman in the world. I don't really care. But like with Thomas Harley, you play with Nils Lundqvist last night. You've played with some revolving partners and everything like that. Go show me you can be that guy. Be the anchor point that a team can build around. And that's what I want to see. Would a better partner help him? Certainly. I would love to see, like, if the Stars go get another top 4 defender, and I don't see any like great options out there, obviously, after obviously Rasmus Anderson's in Vegas, and there's other things. But if the Stars had gotten Rasmus Anderson, you could be like, in the playoffs, hey, we got 2 pairs that are going to combine to play 52 minutes. The third pair doesn't matter at all. But now unless you make a move, it is going to be very difficult to make either way. Harley has to show that he can carry things a little bit more, and that's kind of my stance on it right now.
What do you think about all that?
I was just going to say, and the same thing for Lutz. On top of that, Lutz, do you think they believe Bichel is that?
All of this, we could just take Sean's rant from yesterday and insert Harley. That's the way I look at it. That Thomas Harley has to make Thomas Harley better.
Yep. Thomas
Harley has to want to be a two-way defenseman. I think Harley wants to be a one-way defenseman. I think it's all about the points. Has his defensive game gotten any better? Accepting one-on-ones, outnumbered rushes, 2-on-1s or 3-on-2s? Or does he play in the same way? Or does he even play them worse? I mean, he hasn't gotten better at them. Okay. So, but to me, that's a conversation that Thomas has with himself. But that's a conversation that coaches have with him too. They have to be able to tell him what his game needs to be. And I believe that there was a time when Harley, and I remember asking it, 2 years ago or whatever it was when he got his contract. I said, wait, so they're going to give him Miro Heiskanen money? Like he's going to get around $9 million? He's not Miro Heiskanen. He's not even close to it. Miro is not a Norris Trophy guy from the old standards of it. But he's pretty damn good. He's good with his stick, and he's good with his speed, and he's gotten so much better containing people in the corners. Harley can be like that revolving door at a Walmart, or I don't even know if they have them anymore. I just dated myself again. But to me, it all goes back to Thomas Harley saying to himself, I need to be a good two-way defenseman. I want to be called on. I want them to tap on my shoulder when there's a power play that needs to be killed off from the opponent. He's not a go-to guy in the PK. As a matter of fact, I think they hold their breath when he gets out there because he doesn't get in the right shot lanes. He doesn't use his stick in the right way. He doesn't put his body in the right way on rushes. He'll get either even up or he'll get to the outside of them. The one thing that you always have to do for me as a defenseman, you have to own the middle of the ice when somebody's coming down on you on one-on-one for sure. I'm going to make him go where I want him to go. Not make him get me to move. I'm not going to move. Once I establish position, knowing where I'm supposed to be on the ice, and I'm going to give him the outside, then he has to change. So I just don't think that his commitment for what he isn't there. I just think he's in a mode where he believes, like you guys talked about, he wants to be a minute and a half guy on the power play. That's where his focus is right now. So I just think that there's a conversation that needs to be had with the coaches or Jim Nill or whoever it is to ask him who he wants to be. And I agree with everything. Like last year when he was that late add to the Canadian team at the Four Seasons, Four Nations, whatever the hell that was called, that when he came out of that, everybody was talking about Thomas Harley. And he started to believe it all. And he didn't go back to ground zero and go ahead and start and work from there out all the reasons that he made the team, what is kind of a detriment to him, because right now I don't see the guy that I said makes that really good first pass out of the defensive zone. I said Miro skates pucks out. He breaks down covers like that. Harley was the guy that makes a direct hard pass up the middle of the ice or to a winger. Now he wants to beat the first guy and then the second time. Then he ends up chasing back to his net. Then what happens is the next time he gets on the ice, he wants to make up for that one, but he makes another mistake. So I just think it's almost like you need to pull him back and get him to being committed to play at his end of the rink, being a defenseman better. And then that other stuff will take care of himself. Because I still think he is probably the most offensive guy. I think he's got the best vision. I think he's got the best shot that gets pucks through in the offensive zone. I think when Miro goes behind the net in the offensive zone, generally we know what's going to happen. He's going to come out the other side with the puck. He doesn't make those little dishes to the slot sometimes. Harley can do that. So everything from the offensive blue line in, I think, is still Thomas. I do think now he's forced in a little bit more because he looks at the stat sheet and I don't have as many points as this guy or that guy, and I'm getting the money and all this other kind of stuff. I just think when he's himself offensively down there, it'll take care of itself. But at the other end of the rink, to me, is where his game has got to improve.
Attaboy, Luds. Keep cooking. We're going to take a quick ad break. When we come back, Sam has a couple more questions for Luds about Thomas Harley and Rope hints. And then, did you hear about the Artemi Panarin to Dallas rumor? We'll talk about that next year on DLLS. Wild Fork Foods meat and seafood market is tremendous. I'm a big fan, and you should be too if you haven't checked it out already. It's not just a place to get meat and seafood, although that is their specialty. They also have side dishes, breads, desserts. But let's talk about meat and seafood for a minute. Over 700 items, including 500 at under $10 a pound. And they have some interesting stuff because they have over 250 cuts of beef, poultry, seafood, pork, and then the exotic stuff. Ostrich, rabbit, alligator. I believe they have like whole suckling pigs. I've seen them. I was amazed at the selection when I was there. Knowledgeable, friendly butchers, and of course, everyday low prices. Plus, they blast freeze everything, which maintains freshness. It's true. And the stuff that they serve is delicious. Locations, 9 area DFW locations: Plano, Frisco, North Richland Hills, Flower Mound, Wiley, Addison, Las Colinas, Prosper, and Louisville. Check out their website, wildforkfoods.com, where frozen is fresher. Frozen is fresher at Wild Fork Foods Meat and Seafood Market. I don't know about you, but as a homeowner, I definitely want to find ways to save money, especially on your property taxes. Now, Ownwell is a company that can do just that, and it's so easy to use. So you take Ownwell, you sign up, it takes 3 minutes. They do all the work from there. Texas has some of the highest property taxes in the entire country, but you can be saving thousands every year because of using Ownwell. They make the process super easy. And the great thing about Ownwell is not only do 86% of customers on Ownwell get their assessed values reduced and save on their property taxes, the average Ownwell savings is over $1,100. And guess what? You don't pay unless you save. Save time and money on your property taxes with Ownwell. Only pay if you save. Go to ownwell.com/Texas to learn more. That's OWNWELL.com/Texas. All right, back at it. Before we get into some Panarin discussions, let's go to Sam. The chair recognizes the distinguished gentleman from New Jersey, or wherever you'd like to call your hail yourself from, because you want to ask Luds a little bit more as Sean shakes the water out of his ears.
Yeah, Luds, I'm curious. Two-part question here. So you talk a lot about Cale Makar, best defenseman in the world, right? Everybody says that. So I'm curious for you, Thomas Harley, Cale Makar offensively, and Thomas Harley, Cale Makar defensively. Where do they compare?
Makar for me is a little bit more like Miro. Makar plays defense with the puck. Once he gets the puck, he just goes, and he's on a different planet. You know what I mean? Like when he has the puck, when you watch him defend, he has no fear of turning and going right to someone, where it could be McDavid coming down on him, and he's going to go to him because he believes in his skating and his agility, and he's usually pretty good at it. So I think that those are we talk about McDavid, different planet, McKinnon, different planet, Makar, different planet. So I don't think you can't compare Harley to him, obviously. But like I said, to me, his offensive instincts are there. They're like that. His defensive instincts are there like that. Harley's defensive instincts are, and then he goes. You know what I mean? And he doesn't but he doesn't have the agility that Makar does either. I agree. He's a great skater, and he can do the 10 and 2 and all that other stuff. But Makar is like you would think he's only like 5'8". I mean, he's like a little water bug out there and big, and he can make himself like skinny, like a piece of paper in times when he squeezes through things. That's not what Harley is. And so different player, never going to hit those numbers. I don't think that Makar does. He's never going to be on that stratosphere, but he just needs to be the best Thomas Harley that he can be, which would be pretty damn good. I mean, when you've got Miro that can do what he can do, and Harley, when we see what he can do, especially when he gets better 2/3 of the rink, it'll make a big difference for that group.
If you let me, Sam, if you let me follow up on that, just one of the things and this kind of goes back to T.O.'s question earlier about partner and who for Thomas to play with. And obviously I made the whole point of, hey, you're that good, go anchor your own pair. But obviously it's easy to say, Cale Makar is one of the best defensemen on the planet. He's one of the best hockey players, period, on planet Earth. To me, one of the biggest differences that stops Thomas from being Cale Makar, if you're to say like, hey, what are if I could go take elements of Cale Makar's game and add them to Thomas Harley, once they both get the puck on their stick, like if they're in their own zone and they get the puck on their stick, when they're playing well near their own circles, they're typically making the right decision when they're playing well, whether it's skating it or passing it or anything like that. Cale goes and wins those pucks and then does it. I think there's too much in Thomas's game for me where, and it's easy, especially in a Stars Colorado, in a Dallas Colorado rivalry. Miro goes number 3 overall, Cale goes number 4 overall. It's easy to get caught up in comparing those two side by side, just because that's just the reality. They were drafted right where they are. There's the two teams are rivals, and they're different players. So, but Cale is much better defensively than people want to give him credit for. People want to, it's because, and rightfully so, if you're a Stars fan, you want to promote your guy in Miro. But Cale goes and gets that puck. He goes and actively seeks it out and hunts it, and then turns the hunting on right away into an offensive game. Thomas doesn't become a hunter until he has the puck on his stick. And that to me is the big difference between Thomas Harley and Cale Makar stylistically, where if you could go, if I'm sitting in a video session and if you're Jim Nill and you're sending Thomas headed to the Olympics, the one thing I would say to Thomas, hey, do me a favor, watch what Cale does when he doesn't have the puck. You're about to be his teammate for 4 or 5 games. Watch what he does without the puck. Steal what he does when he doesn't have the puck, and then bring that back to our team. Because that, to me, is the biggest difference between them stylistically beyond some of that top skill and there's obviously the point totals and everything.
And to add to that, Sean, when you talk about when Makar moves to someone to defend and he goes to him, he makes that decision now. Thomas Harley isn't sure about it, and that's why he gets caught, like this little bit, and then all of a sudden he turns, and because he's not sure. Makar believes in his agility and his speed and his skill that he's going to go take that puck away. I don't think Thomas Harley does that, and probably because he's gotten danced a few times, so he's still unsure of himself.
Yeah, and that goes right into the second part of my question, which is, can he become that? Not necessarily Cale Makar or any Miro Heiskanen, but can he get to the point where he is a true number 2 or whatever you want to use as the terminology? And if not, is $10.5 million over 8 years or whatever he's making way too much for someone who's going to be offensive only, or at least mostly offensive?
You know how I would approach Harley? Maybe I would have him watch Evan Bouchard, and I would say to him after 3 games of watching him, "Is that who you want to be?"
Yeah,
because you're knocking on that door. Not that bad. I don't mean that, but Bouchard's making $10 million a year to be EK 67, or whatever. You know what I mean? And God bless him. He got a hat trick the other night, apparently, and all that other kind of stuff. But I don't think Thomas Harley wants that to be that guy. I think Harley wants to be one of the best defensemen on the planet in general. But he's got to work at it.
All right, Sam, before we get to Panarin, you did say you wanted to ask Lud something about Rope Hintz's game.
No, let's go past it. We went on Harley way long. We'll save it.
I saw that. His aim is excellent. I mean, it's the best I've seen him play. And the most important part about it, his faceoffs, his faceoff percentage is in high 50s. It's close to 60. But I will say the biggest thing that I love about his game, what do you think I'm going to say?
He hasn't been injured in a while.
You're on it. You're on it. No, but he has been hit. But he doesn't leave. He comes back to the game. Or
do you think there's a Rantanen component there, Luds? Is that wearing off on Rope in a positive way?
Yeah, I don't know. And maybe Rance maybe he's the kind of guy to say, hey, it's only going to hurt for a little while. I had a coach that said that every time I got hit and you come off, he goes, it was Al Arbor. He just said, look, only going to hurt for a little bit. You're fine. But you have to have a mindset too. But I think I'm so impressed by Hintz this year, his speed, his shot, he goes to the front of the net. I mean, that guy.
That wasn't always the case.
The thing is he's not Jamie Benn, but he's Jamie Benn when he goes to the front of the net. I don't like that he jumps 3 feet in the air. God bless him that he can jump that high. But I'm just saying he's there and he gets hit and he comes back. We've seen now in the last couple of years, every time he got hit and went down, we're like, uh-oh, that could be 2 or 3 games. So that's a mindset. And I think he's fought through that. And I believe that he wants to be an everyday player as close as he can possibly get.
Let me throw this. Hey, let me throw this just quick theory, thought exercise, whatever you want to call it.
Nothing quick with you, Sean.
Yeah, but isn't this one of the reasons isn't this the thing that the Stars talked about when they hired Glenn Goldson of, hey, he can connect with our star players. He can connect with them and help get the most out of them. This is what he did for Leon Draisaitl. This is what he did for Connor McDavid. I'm not saying it's one of those where this is just a thought exercise and a theory to throw out there. You say, hey, you've been so impressed with Roope Hintz, what he's done this year. Maybe he's just playing for a coach that he is buying in a little bit more and has found the right buttons to push. This is all, and on the flip side, obviously we had the whole Matt Duchene talk. Maybe they've lost whatever it took to connect to Matt Duchene, but maybe this is something where you look at just from a coaching perspective. The environment is better for Roope Hintz too this year, and credit to the player, but it's something that I think is also can't be ignored.
Well, that's a actually quick point from Sean, so let's give him credit for that.
Hey, can I answer real quick? I just saw a question about Lyubushkin. Lyubushkin is not on the trip.
Sam is turning into Sean.
No, I'm answering a question in the chat about Lyubushkin. Lyubushkin did not go on the trip. He was expected to travel.
I know. Sam was trying to say something about Lyubushkin, but he's completely frozen.
No, am I?
Yeah, there you are. Hi, Sam.
He's live to me. Sam, you look fine.
Yeah, you were live here. You were live
here. Maybe he just froze for me.
You need to.
The whole time.
Lyubushkin blocked a shot against Boston, I believe. No, against St. Louis in that other game, the first game, the home game.
Friday.
And left the game. He didn't play after that. He was expected to get reevaluated and was hoping to go on the trip. That was the last we heard. And then he didn't go on the trip. So unless he makes some big surprise, joins the team in Vegas or something, I don't think we're going to see him until at least those final 2 home games.
Okay, and let's talk about the quick Panarin rumor, because in case you missed it, on Monday's 32 Thoughts podcast, Elliot Friedman said, I think Artemi Panarin's preference is to go with an extension, as we've heard quite a bit about, because the Rangers have already announced that he's not going to be extended with them. And Friedman said, I think there are some teams he would potentially go to as a rental. One of the teams I've heard he might be interested as a rental potentially is Dallas. Okay, so we already know that Panarin is an interesting piece, but for the most part, we had heard from other reporters that Panarin and his agent had said they want an extension in place, right? So I don't know if we all think that there's a chance that Panarin could be re-signed and extended with the Dallas Stars, right? That's a huge cap hit. They're trying to get Jason Robertson locked up long-term. They don't have a lot of other space. We want them to pick up a couple more pieces in the trade deadline. I don't know how they'd fit it all. Is there a scenario here where they would go get Artemi Panarin as a rental, not to extend him, that actually is palatable to you guys?
Yeah, I was gonna go to Sean first. Sean, what, in your opinion, would that cost in Dallas Stars terms if they got Panarin as a rental?
And you're probably moving it. You're definitely moving picks that you're salvaging more of those picks that you don't have a ton of. But I've been very vocal on this show that I very much in team F them picks, because you're just trying to you're trying to win 16 games in the spring. So it would definitely cost you some picks. it would probably, it would be interesting to see. I don't know how the Rangers view the Stars prospect pool. Like if I was making and it's funny because maybe the guy who is most attractive to maybe go back and move is the guy who requested a trade out of New York a couple of years ago. So
Nils Lundqvist.
So I don't know. I don't think the Rangers would be in on it. Would be very from a roster player perspective, right? I don't think the Rangers in the Nils Lundqvist recoupling is something that would be realistic. So I think from a Stars perspective, it would be draft capital that you already don't have a ton of, and it would be find out what the Rangers think of your prospect pool. Because if I'm the Rangers, I'm calling and asking for Emil Hemming. I would that's my call. I'm asking for Emil Hemming, and I would want him in the deal. But just like when Calgary when the Stars made the deal for Chris Tanev and they moved Grushnikov, I thought that was a great deal for Dallas. That Calgary really saw something in Grushnikov they wanted. The Stars were like, hey. And it was one of those things where I think the Stars were thrilled with the player they wanted because it wasn't some others. So we also could obviously the other roster / young player option is it could be the Maverick Bourque option. And that is definitely something that I want. Again, these are all things I am completely open to because it comes to winning. What's the better chance of winning 16 games this season? Obviously, I know Luds, is this team one or two players from winning the Stanley Cup? I don't know, but Artemi Panarin and my pal Adam Vinyan has a really good piece up at Sportsnet today. Artemi Panarin so far this season, and these are NHL ranks, not just on the Rangers, NHL ranks. According to Sports Logic, Artemi Panarin averages 7.13 shot attempts per game. That's third most amongst all forwards of the NHL right now. His average offensive time possession per game is 1:02, seventh most amongst all NHL forwards. He average offensive carry-ins per game, 5.06, 19th most amongst all forwards in the NHL. We talk about all these things with the puck possession and getting the offense going and things like that. And Panarin, to me, brings all those tools to come in. And once again, it's credit to Adam Vinyan, who's piece up at Sportsnet using Sports Logic data. Those are all things that would help this team. And those are things that Maverick Bourque and Emil Hemming and any draft pick aren't going to bring me right now. Yep. So I'm in for that. And you know what? The other great kind of negotiation standpoint of it all is maybe you sign him, maybe you trade for him, you bring him in, and all of a sudden it throws a little heat on the Jason Robertson camp and you get a deal done of like, hey, if we want to get something signed so we don't have any other money to give somebody else, you might want to get moving on that. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts, and obviously I now concede to the panel.
All right, Luds, I want to get your thoughts, but we got to do the quick live ad break, and then we'll hear from you on that, and then we'll talk about Patrick Kane and Mike Modano here on the DLLS Stars podcast.
Well, I seem to believe I opened up the show by talking about Jake Ottinger, and I don't think we've had an Otter shirt up there, and it seems like for months, and I think it's time. Well, there it is. Jake has done a better job of late, and so I think it's worthy of having the Otter up there. And then I just do want to go to the Finns because, as you talked about hints, and let's pull up the Finnish Mafia shirt, sweatshirt, T-shirt. We don't have T-shirts yet, apparently, or maybe some guys do. I apparently don't have one. Haven't seen it or heard about it. And then, Ryan, let's follow it up with the hat collection. I don't know. Sam, do you got one of them on today or no? I didn't even know.
No, they're behind me, though.
It's hard to tell. It's so blurry. I can't tell if you got a Chevy hat on or not. But there's our hat collection. And then I'm going to not even spend any more time. I want to give it all to Sam because he's got a lot to say. And he's probably going to get stuck here 2-3 times. So it's going to take a while to get it over.
Luds, do you remember what I told you right before the show started? Ditto, right back at you one more time. Let's talk about being a diehard. Being a diehard gets you 20% off all of the cool stuff Luds was just talking about, but it also gives you 20% off of our cool events. I now officially know, I'm not just going to say sometime this week or in the future, our DLS diehard watch party is on Saturday. Right? Just making sure. Yes. Saturday. And it's going to be a great time. It is sold out. And guess what? If you were a diehard or if you become a diehard, you get first access to a lot of these things. So that event is diehard only, and it was sent in the Discord. So just like our last event that almost sold out exclusively in the Discord, you got to be a diehard to jump on these events, because ask anyone in the chat that was there. The last takeover we did was an awesome time. This watch party, along with the Mavs team, everyone in the studio, it's going to be loud. It's going to be chaotic. We're going to hear KG from miles away. It's going to be a lot of fun. Don't miss out on those things, plus all the amazing things. No ads on articles, all access to the paywalled articles, and all across our network. Go right below Sean there, the code, or alldls.com/diehard.
All right, guys, let's get Ludz's take on this Panarin rumor, and then we'll pivot to the Modano Patrick Kane stuff. Ludz, Artemi Panarin, you've brought him up before.
Yeah.
What do you think about all this?
I brought him up because I didn't really think it was legit. And I mean, it's nice that who was it, Elliot, you said that had that out there. It's nice because he's usually got a good handle on it. To me, no question, all of a sudden the power play gets even better, right? I mean, but are we going to be able to survive with the other guys that we have that complement it? And maybe you're going to say, well, we're taking one of those players off that left side up there, and we're going to put that one in there. So I think it would be a nice add. I don't know how you're going to fit him in from a cap space. That's Sean's neighborhood. But I do believe that there is another general manager and a head coach that might want him, and that would be in Anaheim. I think that I don't know where their cap is. I don't know if the Carlson guy, I think he needs a contract yet. Beaker's probably got a couple guys to sign, but my guess would be that Joel Quenneville and Panarin would probably be a good fit. And when you look at that Anaheim team, and I think he could get an extension there, possibly a little bit easier than here. I don't know what the number he's looking for. It's got to start with a 1, I'm assuming. It's got to be a 10 something. But I don't know what their cap issues are, but I look at that team and we know it's an electrifying team. We've seen it enough, and there's a lot of offense that comes out of that, and it's a fast pace that they play. So I think between the head coach and the GM that has taken that step, Beaker's been very patient with that group, and now he's starting to make moves, and I think he sees the window.
The other just connection, this will actually segue incredibly well, and that we didn't plan this. It is one you talked about. Detroit is definitely an option for Panarin as well. It's a team that has the cap space, has the assets, and has
he knows a couple guys too, right?
Yeah, and he has a guy we're about to talk about in Kane that they really enjoyed playing together before. And honestly, you look at past moves by Detroit where one of the things that they leaned back on the old Kane DeBrincat combination to bring those two back together, and there's definitely space within that. The other interesting thing we have to just keep in mind with Panarin on everything is with the no move clause, he's gonna have a say in where he goes, right? So there is the player control element in this that has to be brought up, because it's not as simple as the Rangers just being offloading for the best offer. It's going to have to be offloading to a destination the player feels happy with, even if it is just a rental like that. That's why I think, just kind of reading the tea leaves on the Panarin stuff, I think if he's going to move without an extension, it's probably going to be closer to the deadline, because I think he and his agency are probably going to be in that spot where they're going to sit there and wait for some team to come to the table and say, hey, come join us and get the extension. As we get closer and closer to that, I think it's March 5th or 6th, I think, for the deadline. As we get closer to that, I think if there's no team that he wants that it has the assets to make the move, that's when a rental move becomes more likely. So this is a slow burn from a Dallas perspective, I think, because you're waiting on the other offer and team that could get the extension place not to be there to happen, in my view. And that's just reading the tea leaves on all of that.
Sean, how important is it to get Robo deal done before something like that? Or is it not, since he's got something in the next year?
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole Robertson deadline stuff is always like, I think it gets pushed a little more than people want to, especially outside of Dallas, because people always like, I spoke to Jim last week in Columbus, and Jim incredulously looked to me in the eye and said, he's an RFA. I have him for next year, right? Like, the reality is I can have him play on a qualifying offer if I need to next year. So the whole deal with the whole Robertson stuff and everything like that, obviously, I think it gets done during the season. Like, I honestly wouldn't be surprised. Once again, I want to be very clear, put the big caveat, asterisk, whatever on this before anyone goes and like puts this out as a report. I'm not reporting this, but Jason Robertson's agent is going to have 2 weeks of nothing to do during the Olympics when his client could be at the Olympics. And I wouldn't be surprised if at some point Andy Scott and Jim Nill have a lengthy phone call and conversation maybe during that time
And we might even have this done during the Olympic break. Once again, that is just me speculating, pure speculation, not reporting.
But, heard it here first. Sean reports.
And not reporting, but I think that's kind of if it's not done before then, I think it's something that happens in the summer.
How comfortable is Robo going into the next season without a contract?
I don't think he goes into next season without a contract. I don't think he makes it past.
If that happens, do you think you get?
If he was under a qualifying offer, you mean?
Yeah. Do you get the same Jason Robertson that we want?
I think he would. I think Jason would play under the qualifying offer. I don't think that's an issue. I do think there's some more animosity you want to avoid on that. Like, I think both sides have agreed and know that that's an option, but it's also not the ideal path. Like, I think both sides want to play going into next year with Jason having a long-term future in Dallas, and they can put big banners up with his face on the outside of the building, not having to worry about a guy who all of a sudden becomes the center of more trade rumors again.
Well, let's talk quickly about Patrick Kane, who tied Mike Modano for the all-time points career NHL skater by an American-born last night. Here's the problem I have. Not a problem. Look, Patrick Kane is a fantastic player. He's going to go down as one of the, if not the all-time great American NHLers. Mike Modano was such a icon of his era. He's a legend for the Dallas Stars. Luds, you played with him for a long time. You guys, I'm sure, can still consider yourself very good friends, as evidenced by your response. I'll say that as a yes. What about Brett Hull? I know he was born in Calgary, but he represented the United States.
Ontario. Born in Ontario.
I thought it was Calgary. He's born in Ontario. Okay.
Ontario.
But he's a dual citizen. He chose to represent the United States internationally. Why can't we just call him the highest scoring American? Does it have to be because it was born on American soil? Look, I'm not trying to minimize anything that Kane or Modano have done. They're both elite, legendary hockey players. But the whole qualifier bugs me a little bit.
Have you met Harley? He already says that he's the greatest American hockey player. He
doesn't need validation.
He doesn't need any more. That's it. He's good.
It'd be like Thomas Harley. Like, I guess Harley would be. What would he be? Would he be American if he was the leader in points?
So,
he was born in the U.S.
Say it again, Sam.
Would Harley be American if he broke some record, or would he be Canadian? Is it where you're born?
Well, don't everybody answer that at once.
I
it right now.
Sam froze me for me. I don't know about you guys, but he's completely locked out.
I think
you're having computer issues or internet.
You guys are still moving. That's the weird part.
What you get for making fun from them.
Yeah. So to Sam's point, I think we get overly attached to where players are born. Like, once again, I was in Detroit last night. I was at the game, where Kane tied Modano for most points by an American-born player. But in that game, the guy who scored the first goal in the game was Samuel Hellenius. Samuel Hellenius is the son of Sammy Hellenius, former Stars Finnish enforcer, one of the few Europeans that ever played an enforcing role in the NHL. Samuel Hellenius, his birth is listed as he was born in Dallas. So on the line sheet I get last night, Samuel Hellenius, Dallas, Texas. Samuel Hellenius spent 6 months of his life in Dallas, Texas, and I believe he played for the Jokerit system. I'd have to double check on that one, but he's a Finn. He's a 6'6" Finn through and through. Are we gonna? He's more American than Brett Hull by birth location if we're going on that? So it's like that's kind of one of those like funny things where for me, these are important records, and I think it's the whole. It's also like the funny side by side of Brett Hull went the more quote unquote American route. Like our pal Luds here, he played college hockey. Mike Modano and Patrick Kane, for that matter, both went to the CHL for their development route. The two Americans, if we're going to talk about the more American versus Canadian route. So I think part of it also comes back to just the reason. And once again, Mike Modano, there's a statue for him outside the American Airlines Center for a reason. But the reality is, so much of I think the reason and the lore that built into that was there was such a need for an American hockey hero from one team. There was a need for someone in a sport that was so dominated by Canadians and everything like that. And Modano fit by being born in the United States, there was a narrative that was needed at the time to elevate USA hockey.
I don't think that's something we need anymore when it talks about growing the sport. I think USA Hockey is at such a good spot right now where we can just look at the entire history as a whole. I mean, we had the whole talk about the Olympic roster where, hey, we don't have to act like an underdog. You could go just take the best players. Obviously, the USA Hockey did not do that, in my opinion. But I think that's one of the reasons that the Modano record gets more credit and more results and everything like that. When, honestly, but for me, I think the true U.S. record is the Brett Hull record. It's 1390. It'll be 1391, and so 1392 when that happens. So
I thought it was really classy of Mo a couple nights ago when he was with
Yeah.
Kaner and
Yep.
came out and said, it basically said the greatest American-born player, Patrick Kane. He was with his family, I thought, with Kaner's family. So it was very classy of him.
Mike Modano broke the record November 7th, 2007. He scored a classic Modano hammer.
And he whiffed on that.
Totally missed on the breakaway. He admitted it. But the funniest part about it, when I was doing the research, the guy who turned the puck over at the offensive blue line to give Modano the breakaway, Joe Pavelski.
Well, Joe's a good American.
They all want to help each other.
Yeah.
in San Jose, it was in San Jose, right, Sam? In the Shark Tank, I believe.
Yep.
And
All right, fellas, it's been a good show, but I think we should end the way we started. And what do I mean by that? But before we get to that, tomorrow, Stars play the Vegas Golden Knights. They actually should be practicing in Vegas in about an hour or so today. That's at least on their schedule. But tomorrow night, we have an 8:30 Central Time pregame show.
Oof.
It'll be me, Sam, and Luds. No, Sean. Sean's sitting there going, no, I'm not on tomorrow. And then, of course, we'll do our postgame after the game. And then we're off on Friday because we have the takeover event on Saturday night. But before we end, remember how we started, celebrating evil villain Sean ranting about Matt Duchene and getting him going. So what better way to say goodbye for Sean, Luds, Sam, I'm Owen, and Ryan than to let evil Sean and his little pet take it away.
oh my God, where did that come from?
That's awful.
That is-
We all silly like the